Okay, cool. So, first things first, yeah, I'm super grateful for you to be here. And I was saying earlier, I feel like we had like a really good conversation on Airtime Prime. We mentioned Airtime Prime a couple of times on this podcast anyway, so some people might know what it is, some people might not know, you know. So so it's completely fine. But yeah, so I just feel like it's a shame that episode's never seen the daylight. So I'm really happy that you're here now, and we can kind of like maybe touch on some of the things we spoke about before.
Yeah.
And I know you want to talk about some other things as well today.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty cool. So what we were talking about just now, we were saying we're talking about the elephant in the room. Yeah. So like, what is the elephant in the room?
Right. Okay. So for me, the elephant in the room has to be something that's present, something or somebody that's present that causes a lot of maybe feelings of anxiety, or has something controversial about them, or has like a kind of vibe that influences you and your speech, your performance, any kind of delivery.
Yeah.
But nobody ever talks about it, or nobody ever really addresses what's going on.
Yeah.
So I don't know, maybe I'm going to put this back on you, because if there's an elephant in the room, like for example, well, there isn't one now, but imagine there was an elephant in the room now and we're talking. Okay, would you say that elephant in the room is going to hinder the way you're speaking with me?
Yeah, potentially, but the main question is like, so I'm gonna come back with the question.
Okay.
So it's like, is the elephant in the room different for every single person, or are we talking about the same elephant in the room for all of the people that's in the room?
I think it's different, right?
Yeah.
It depends what affects you, what makes you feel not great, or what pressures you, or what causes anxiety, or any of the negative feelings. So I think it varies for who it is. But if we just have a setting, let's use this setting.
Yeah.
And there was somebody who was watching over us and was a lot like, well, this conversation isn't flowing great. So what are you going to do about it? That's going to put some pressure on the way the conversation should flow.
Yeah.
So what do you do? Do you carry on with the conversation? Do you address the elephant in the room, or what? You know, so yeah.
So I think there's like, for me, there's two things, right? Number one is like, how brave am I feeling to address the elephant in the room?
Yeah.
You know, because I think I've had like in my life, I've had instances where I'm pretty good at addressing it.
Right.
I'll just put it like that. I'm pretty good at addressing it, but I've had instances where I've not addressed it. I've had instances where I have, and it's just like, depends on how brave I'm feeling on that day.
Okay.
So it's just, you know, it's about how confident am I to talk about it, and how important is it to address it at that moment, you know, because maybe it's not having a huge effect, you know?
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe it's very minor. Okay, what about a scenario? A scenario being you're delivering a presentation and it's really important. You can't have anything that obstructs the conversation, the presentation. So you know that this elephant in the room is influencing you.
Yeah.
Okay. So if it's influencing you, it's going to probably affect the way you deliver, right?
Yeah.
But you can't disrupt the elephant. So how do you deal with it?
Why can't you disrupt the elephant? That's the question.
Because in this scenario, it would probably affect, the audience would witness that you're addressing the elephant.
But what about authenticity? So what if I just go like, you know what, like, actually, what's on my mind in the moment? I'm about to give this presentation, but I'm got this feeling about this thing that's affecting me, and this is how I'm feeling in the moment, and I'm addressing it at that moment there and then I'm doing the presentation after. So then so at least for me, then that way I know I got it out of the way, and then I kind of told people what's going on with me at the moment, and then how people are going to perceive my presentation afterwards will be slightly different, because they already know where I'm coming from, you know, because it's almost like a disclaimer, right?
Right, it is,
But I think most interestingly, I think I'm more fascinated with what happens afterwards.
Right.
Yeah, because that's where like there's an opportunity to learn, right?
To learn,
It's like, what is this like elephant in the room?
Exactly.
Where is it coming from?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So to me, you seem like a person that is quite frank in a very positive sense that, right, okay, so this is affecting me, so I'm going to address it. For me, I'm not very good at confrontation. I'm learning, but I'm not very good at it. So I would probably grit my teeth and get through it and then address it. So I was thinking about a scenario for myself, and because I'm a trained actor, what I would do if I had to address the elephant in the room is actually use part of the technique that I learned, and it would be to put myself into part of a character to be able to deal with the elephant in the room, just to get through. so that I do get through and I get my points done. I do the delivery or the presentation or whatever it is. And then post whatever it is that we need to complete, that's probably the exciting part, because it depends how brave you are, where you are, what the elephant in the room means, and whether you actually address it or not. And I think that you're very right. It depends on how much it means to you. I mean, if it's minor, then why would you have the confrontation? But then why would you let the confrontation pass as well, right? So it's something that you would probably assess in the situation. But I do have a person in mind when I'm speaking about this. Because I've just had a recent kind of event where that happened. And in the end, I kind of smiled and give a few of my points across. And I think the person understood that I was very uncomfortable in that situation. And I did. I braved up, spoke out, and I was quite happy with the way I went through what I had to go through before I addressed her, this elephant in the room. But it does come to confidence, bravery, what the impact is, whether you actually confront someone or not, because sometimes it's what's at stake. If there's something at stake by confronting this thing, then you may not do it and you might be held back.
So sometimes it might not be worth doing it, right?
Exactly. What's at stake? That's the question.
Yeah. No, that's a really good question. In terms of the character, you were saying like you would put yourself in a certain character. Yeah. So like, what is there like a particular character you think about, or is it just... Yeah, what
so sort of just through like training, I've worked on several different characters, a lot of them, you know, some are even actually waiting in the library to be performed, you know, and a lot of characters have different characteristics about them. So some will be really confident, some will be a bit feeble, some might be tame, some might be where they're completely fearless. So when you learn a method, you learn how to kind of put that kind of feeling or that emotion into your body. And I would actually access that. It's become a tool for me now to get through uncomfortable situations in life.
I got a really powerful question in that sense, yeah. So are those really characters? Are they really characters, or are you just utilizing parts of yourself that you just have access to?
Yeah. I would say utilizing parts of myself. So I say characters because I've assigned those part of myself to certain people or certain characters that I thought about that I will perform or I have performed. But they are very much a part of myself. But I think when you do the art of acting, you start to realize that even though it's a part of yourself, it's up to you whether you want to accept that it is, or whether you've saved that part of yourself as somebody that you want to be or you want to play.
But then are we not like all characters, like in general? Like, don't we all play a character?
Oh, we do. I think
because
we do.
Like you know that's like I think it's to do with like self-image and just just how we perceive ourselves and that's like it's almost like everyone's building a character, but I guess that's the character they want to be, right? Yeah. Whereas like people can play other characters that they don't want to be, or they can just pretend to be other characters. Yeah. But we're all building a character that you want to become and stuff. Yeah. It's what's really interesting, because like obviously they call it acting roles in the acting world, and in the job world they call it job roles, but they're all roles, like someone's performing a role. So sometimes like it's weird how someone can be working with another person and that person's a colleague, right? And then that person might be acting different towards you just because of the job, because of the role they have. It's really fascinating how people can just like not be true to themselves and become a different character based on the position they're in. No, you're completely right, because on a daily basis, I mean, even if you had just the basic things in life where you have your home life, so you have your home face. When you're at work, you have your professional work on, you know, your attitude, your face. And then maybe when you're hanging with your friends, you're totally loose, no filters. So there's a lot. I think we all act because we slot ourselves in that position. Now, whether... I think there's... I don't remember, but I think there's a Japanese kind of reference where we have three faces. We have the face that we share with everybody, the face that we kind of share with some people, and the face that we never share. But then I think I said this before, but then every single person will have a different version of who you are anyways. Yeah. So regardless of what face you share, like they'll have another face that they've attached to you or got you kind of like, it's almost like they have their own reflection of who they are and they're reflecting that on you. Exactly. And, it's like all of that is just fascinating. It's like, it's almost, there's like so many infinite possibilities of like who people are and how people feel in the day. you know, what the experiences are. It's just so many different things
there is
in play.
So many different things. And I think, well, when you say it like that, in effect, we're all actors, right? Because we learn to be what we want somebody to perceive us to be. Yeah. You know, so that is acting, because you train your body to only allow certain emotions or certain characteristics to come out in a certain environment. So it is acting. But then I guess when you talk about acting as an art, then it's more to do with completely living truthfully in imaginary circumstances. I think that's the best way to kind of separate the art and what we do on a regular basis.
I think, you know what's really interesting with acting as well? I think people get to play parts that they've maybe like tamed within themselves for years, and they get to experience that, and I think it's a beautiful thing. I think art in general is just like anything to do with creativity.
Absolutely,
it's just such a beautiful thing, you know. Like
absolutely. I mean, drama is considered as a therapy. You know, some people, they go through trauma, you know, various types of trauma, and they use drama, acting, all of that stuff to kind of relive what they went through, so that they change what didn't actually happen in their circumstance, so that they feel liberated. Because sometimes we all encounter something that's not that great, you know, and we didn't do anything at the time. But if you play out something that happened very similar back then, whenever you experience something, and you change the way you dealt with it in a drama, in a play, in a story or something like that, then I think it's quite liberating to your inner self, you know. So it can be for anybody. It's good, it's beautiful, it's incredible. I mean, it's you wouldn't know where to start or end in that world, because it's just so good.
No, it's I think it's an incredible thing. I've actually experienced it like a couple of times and stuff, and I think it's one of those. I had one of those moments like, why don't I do this more often? But then I realized it's just I'm the one that's stopping myself from doing it.
Well,
I think it's crazy, because within a lifetime, you know, we've got certain amount of hours within a day and stuff, and it's and you know what, and I think as I'm getting older, like, I'm just starting to see the world in such a beautiful way, where it's like there's so many different possibilities, and I know that I don't have the time to do all of it, you know, so I'm just trying to like kind of dip into certain things and experience it just at least once or twice, just to see what it's like, because you know what, it's really interesting, because I think even for people that's listening, I would just give them an advice of like, try experiment, or just experience many different things, even once or twice. Test it. Most importantly, that will give them an insight of what other people, how they feel, or how you know, what they think and stuff like that. And it's a beautiful thing to be able to relate to people that do other things in life.
Absolutely. I mean, it changes you as a person, right? Because we all have, let's call it a lens, our own lens, right? And then when we meet people, we do different things. We can adjust this lens, and we do adjust it to accommodate the environment, the person, or a group of people. And you don't really expand or extend your lens unless you've had experiences. And it might be you might not have a great experience, but who cares? You know, you're still going to learn something, and it just means you won't do that thing because it doesn't make you happy, or it's not fulfilling, or it's not giving you content or something. You know, but I think it's really important to go out there and try stuff, because, well, if we touch on imposter syndrome, it's ourselves that stops us, right? We'll be like, oh, but I'm not cut out for this. I don't look like I can do this. I'm not sure if I can do this. What's going to happen? What is somebody going to say if they see me doing this? It's not my thing, but it can be your thing. Who knows? Unless you try it, you don't know if it's your thing. So why decide before? You know, you really. Like, but I think that also that kind of attitude comes a lot later on in life, because when you're younger, it's more to do with, I think I know who I'm going to be. I think I know what I'm going to do. Yes, it's the discovery
kind of stage. It's like
and there's a lot out there, and it could be overwhelming as well. And until you go through different circle of friends, different jobs, different people, different circumstances, bad things and good things, it's not until then do you realize how important experiences are, because I think every experience makes space for you to grow, even if it's bad, you know. We just have to use that space to make whatever we want to do next, you know, make your way through that space.
I really like that, because like it's almost like you said, you know, that not every experience is great, but then the learning from the experience can be great, you know, if we allow it to be.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't know, experiences. And also, if you have a bad experience, you're always going to have a positive one at some point. And, you know, it does override bad experiences, and you only learn. And unless some people think that growing and learning and educating is only to a certain stage, you know, maybe like your early 20s or late 20s, but you know, you're learning forever until you leave the world. You're literally learning on a regular basis, daily basis. So, you know, allow yourself to do what you want to do, experience it. It's good.
Yeah, I agree with that. Speaking of experience and learning, what's like the most powerful thing that you've learned recently, or something that's stuck out for you?
Yeah, well, pandemic.
It
has to be, because I had a very tight vision before the pandemic. When I say tight vision, I had a structured plan, you know. I had a plan that I'm going to do this, I'm going to travel here, I'm going to commit to this group, I'm going to commit to this club, I'm going to earn this much money so I can do this, and then get a backpack and climb a mountain, you know, all of these things. I had a bucket list, you know, and it was pretty much, I'm going to do this on this month, and it was really structured, you know. We got used to taking things for granted and learning that we need to go and chase our dreams, etc. And yeah, we do have inconveniences and things that set us back, but the pandemic literally destroyed everything. Everything. So I mean, for me, that was the biggest learning curve ever, because now I don't have a plan. I actually don't have. I've gone to the extreme. I don't have a plan. I don't know what I'm doing specifically. I mean, I know what I'm doing next week and stuff, but not like a long-term plan. And it's liberating. It's actually liberating, because now I'm at this stage where, well, let's see, you know, I've got a lot of education behind me. I've got lots of experience. I've got creativity to play with. I've got like my day job to play with, and all of those things. And now I'm in a free position, because I'll be like, okay, if somebody asks me, for example, this podcast, would you like to join? It's like, yeah, why not? You know, I'm going to do that. I didn't know it was in the pipeline, but there you are, it's there. And I think it's more fulfilling.
It's almost like it opened up more opportunities.
Yes, it does. And I think you stop yourself from judging yourself as well if you don't have such a tight plan, because discipline is good. I do believe in discipline, and I think having discipline on a daily basis is good, but being very stuck on, I want this and I want it like that and I want to do this and nothing's going to come in my way, can actually be detrimental to yourself, you know. So I think the pandemic taught me that, I have to say. It really has, and it's made me more freer. So
look, the plan is obviously, you kind of said it's gone out the window, but has the vision gone?
No, the vision hasn't gone. The vision is the same.
So before I ask you what the vision is, because and I think this is going to follow up really nicely, do you want to introduce yourself? So just for some people that are listening, for them to get a context on who you are.
Yeah, of course.
Because obviously you kind of mentioned some stuff already, you gave some sneak peeks and stuff, so I think people will kind of get,
So I'm Sadiqa Esmail, that's my name, and I am an actor, but I'm a recent actor. You know, I trained at drama school just a few years ago, graduated before the pandemic. But my previous history is, I studied computer science and worked in that field for quite some time. Got to a point where I needed something refreshing, you know, and I was always creative when I was young, but I didn't get to pursue that. So I got to a point in life where I realized that I need something, you know, I need to find that. So I didn't decide to become an actor. I accidentally came to like a drop-in class, which was a drama class, and I fell in love.
When you say accidentally, like, would you
literally a class dropped on my Facebook feed.
So you came on your face. So it wasn't an accident that you dropped on your Facebook feed, but it was a decision that you made to go there, right? It was just
I mean, what I mean is I was looking for things to do.
You took a chance.
I took a chance. I really did. I honestly did not think that I would commit to like a whole term, you know, a whole few years in drama school. But I did start off in a drop-in class. I did like 2 or 3 and 4. Absolutely fell in love with the whole idea, and I was like, wow, I didn't know that this was possible, but I did. I took the risk. Absolutely fully committed to an entire 3 years at drama school, and I can't tell you how happy I am that I took that chance.
So would you say you kind of like discovered a part of yourself that you didn't know you had? Maybe?
I mean, to be honest, if I'm really honest, I think discovered or rediscovered my whole self completely.
That's beautiful.
From a completely different light, something that I didn't even know that I had, and all I knew is I had to have the commitment, the discipline to attend and do the work that I needed to do.
Yeah.
And it just became passion, and passion is fire for everything, right?
No, so I can feel the energy that you're talking about. I can feel it. Yeah.
It's the best thing I ever did. And now, even when I'm not doing actor specific things, all of my skills are transferable in terms of confidence, communicating, speaking with people.
Yeah.
Talking about drama therapy. I had a small chance to teach children drama, which was absolutely incredible. It was a really, really great opportunity that I had. And so I can use it almost everywhere now.
Yeah.
It's just changed how I carry myself. Not that it was it wasn't bad before. It was just that I had a very specific way, and I feel like I was set in a very specific way, and I knew that I needed to change something. But when I changed it, I just changed it completely. An absolute extreme. Yeah,
sounds amazing. And in terms of the vision, like, what's the if you want to share it, like, what is the vision?
Okay. So my vision is to liberate myself. Now, what I mean by that is everything I always thought I wanted to do, everything I thought that I couldn't do. Everything that I thought was impossible is actually possible, because it is possible. It's just the way to do it, and having the perseverance and the patience to be able to do it, and having a good bunch of people with you. Before I used to think the more people you know, the better it is, but I don't think that's true anymore. I think it's more to do with who you have.
Quality over quantity.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And that's taken a while to learn, but it's there. It's there. And I think after a while, you learn when you meet somebody, whether they're your friend, your colleague, or your acquaintance, you know how far you can take your relationship with them. And if you have them with you, I think anything you want, you can get. And if you aim the highest, you might be a few rungs down on the ladder, but it's going to be the best still, because aim for the impossible and you're going to get something, you know what I mean? So, that's my vision. My vision... some of it is very private, because I will do that through my life, but I think more of it is to do with feeling liberated from life, because life can be quite dull. Well, it is dull in some respects, because we're going through, through the world itself is going through a really bad time, and we have got very toxic environments that we live in as well, but it's not the end of the world. You can actually make it bright. So might be at the end of the world. I'm just playing. I don't know. I mean, we had this discussion. Who knows? Everything's moving so fast. We might not even make it. What does that mean? But I don't know. Yeah, but it could be. But
I think still, it's still about just just making. I don't like saying that phrase, making the most out of it. But there's really something with, like, it's really starting to hit me. Like, I'm trying to learn from early, like, in terms of, like, so what I'm talking about. It's like, when people, like, older people, when they go like, I wish I'd done this, or I haven't done that, and there's loads of quotes that says, like, make sure you live every day like it's your last day, and whatever. But I think people sometimes just read it and it's just like, whatever, like, or they feel like they take things for granted. They think, I've got loads of time, and so on. But I think I'm really trying to understand and embrace and kind of feel that concept of, what, I really want to make the most out of my life. I really want to start living like how they feel at that old age now, just not giving a shit about stuff and just doing stuff,
I hear you. I mean, I think we most of us who spend time with ourselves and have conversations with ourselves realize that we don't want to be in that position where we're like, I wish I did that, or I should have done that. But this goes back to what we were talking about, that we should try everything, because even if you try something once, you started a foundation of something, and then maybe a few years down the line you'll pick it up, and then you'll put more on it, more layers, and then it becomes something. And at least when you've gotten to your later years in life, you can say, at least I tried it. And you can't accomplish everything. We just don't have the capacity. But you can say that I did try it. I gave it a shot. I was going to do it. What actually happened is a different story, but, like, you don't want to be in a position where you're saying, I wish I gave that a shot. That's the thing. Exactly.
That's what I'm trying to embrace. I really don't want to be like a certain age and I'm just like, I wish I've done this, I wish I've done that. So I'm just really trying to, stay true to myself and really trying to keep it honest with everyone and just trying to be as authentic as possible, really.
I think that's the best way. I mean, being frank, honest with other people and with yourself, it's like it gives you more chance to
it's liberating. I like that word. I'm going to take it. It's liberating.
You can have it. I mean, spread it, you know. It's that's even liberating. But I'll tell you something that happened to me recently. So there was some events that in my life were quite tough. So I didn't know how to deal with them. And I was thinking, it got to a stage where I was overthinking and I was like, what am I going to do? What should I do? What's the impact? And then I thought, no, this is too much. It's not good for me. So just recently I developed a new rule for myself. And the new rule is, I think it's taken from a movie, but it actually came from a very good friend of mine. And he said to me, right, okay, you need to start walking away from things. I was like, yeah, but how do you walk away? You know, I'm a woman. I've got all of these emotions. I don't know what to do with them. And he's like, yeah, but you can't be so emotionally attached. So we kind of broke down all of the things that I was facing at the time. And then we came up with walk away in 30 seconds. And what that meant was when you're in the situation, you need to choose this or that, look at this and that, give yourself 30 seconds, make the decision and walk. And I tried it for 3 things and it worked. So hopefully that's my thing for life now. Let's see.
Yeah, that sounds beautiful.
Yeah, that's liberating too.
Yeah, I can't lie. Like I've had like phases of like, this is the thing, yeah. So some, you know, sometimes some people are indecisive, right?
Yeah.
So like I've never been indecisive.
Okay.
But I've kind of been the person that's come across indecisive just because I don't really care about what that option is or that option, or like because I always see value in all the options.
Yeah.
You know, every single option's got some value,
sense.
some pros and cons anyways, right?
Yeah.
But recently I've actually started to develop this thing of like, you know what? I want to bring some certainty to my decision making in general. Okay. So even if it's like I don't care which option it is, like let me just pick one. Yeah. Because sometimes like, you know, just taking time with picking something in life and it's time consuming, and it's just like, it's, you know, sometimes people would dwell on it too much. Like what decision should I make? Like actually let me just make a decision and just go with it.
Yeah.
You know?
Maybe the timer will work then. 30 seconds. Give yourself 30 seconds.
I'm going to try that out.
Yeah. Just when you say certainty, do you mean like a structure in how you make a decision, or what does that mean?
No, I mean just being certain about something. So just being like confident, certain that, you know what, I'm just going to commit to this choice, like regardless of how it's going to work out. I'm just going to go with it.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, maybe the timer will work. Try it.
But that's the thing. But I think with certainty, like, and this is what I've been connecting it to. So in terms of leadership, just in general, and I'm talking about just because leadership's so broad, right? So I'm talking about in terms of leadership for myself, so leading myself, and it goes the same with like leading people as well. Like having certainty is good, you know, because sometimes you can do this whole thing of like democracy, or like people are voting, people are having discussions and stuff, and everyone's just like and it can go in circles for so long. Someone sometimes just needs to go, you know what, we're gonna do this thing. You know, because it's not going to actually, like, I think it's impossible to please every single person in the world. Oh, yeah. Because the spectrum of opinions is just so wide. And
it's too much.
Yeah, right? and sometimes, and I'm more of a fan of, like, can we teach people to go through things they don't want to go through and still learn from it? So, like, for example, if, let's say, there's 10 people in a room and then one person's completely on the other spectrum of that decision and they don't want to go through it, it's like, hey, can we actually help you develop yourself and go through this thing as well while you're not wanting to go through it and still like learn something, you know?
Yeah.
So I'm more of a fan of like,
responsibilities,
that kind of self like ownership sort of thing, and just.
Yeah, I like that. I think people are scared of that. I think a lot of people are scared of being in an uncomfortable situation. But if you have support while you're in the uncomfortable situation, I think it's really good opportunity for you to grow, because, you know, to strengthen yourself, depending on what you've been through, what your background is, it can be really, really tough, you know, really daunting even. But if you have that, and if people can help you be in a space where it's not good, but help you just by being present even, you know, just being there, stood there, sat with you, held your hand or something, I think it's enough for you to grow. I don't believe that any person won't take something away from that, even if it doesn't feel good. They'll remember that time a lot later on in life when they're confronted with something, and then they'll be like, oh yeah, I'm glad I went through that because I know how to deal with this now. You know? Yeah.
But then I think people need an active decision. So people need to develop a muscle for focus and a choice to take learning from something and break it down, because I could easily be in a situation, right?
Yeah.
Something happens and then I can just be like, you know what, let me just move on.
Yeah.
Let me just forget about this. That's what most people do actually. They go, you know what, I'm stressed out. I want to forget about this. Some people go do other, you know, some people will do different things to try to forget about it. Some people end up going out on the weekends. They think they're going to forget about it.
Absolutely.
But then also there's this other thing of like, can I build this muscle of, you know what, let me focus on this thing that just happened. Let me put some focus in it and go, what is the learning there? What can I learn? What is that situation telling me about me?
Yeah.
And how can I respond to similar situations in the future differently to get an outcome that I want to get?
Yeah.
You know, rather than just responding in any kind of way, and the outcome can be like whatever. It might be not, you know, like how can I get a better outcome for me?
Yeah. So when you say that, it takes me back to a conversation that I had with somebody about, you can only really do those kind of things if you treat yourself well, and if you respect yourself, and if you've actually got self-worth, you know, like you value your self-worth. Because what I've seen or what I've witnessed, or maybe I'm speaking on a general basis, is like a lot of people live to please other people, or a lot of people live to kind of live their life through somebody else, but they've not really had the chance to build who they are. And because they haven't built who they are, they don't know who they are, they don't know what they want, they don't know how to get the focus until the person that they're living through or with guides them or states something about them. So if you don't have that, I don't think you can have a focus, because you will never really know what you want as a person. So I think before, you know, really putting yourself through something, you have to ask yourself, do I know who I am? Even if you don't know who I am, who you are, it's more like, I am this person, this is my value, this is what I want to be,
but you know
I
what?
respect myself.
So on that note, I think the best way for someone to discover their self-worth, and this is just my opinion, you know, loads of people have other opinions and stuff, but I think one of the best ways to do that is by someone putting themselves in a circle of people that will tell them what their worth is. You know, like, because if someone's in a circle of like where like people are just like laughing at each other and just bantering and everyone's just like kind of taking a piss all the time, like they're never gonna find out what their worth is, you know. But if they, but that's the thing. But it goes back to the thing of like the cliche thing of like surround yourselves with good people, you know, people you can learn from and stuff. And there's this really powerful thing I've heard. I'm not gonna remember it now, but I'm gonna find it at some point. I'll send it to you. But it was just so powerful that I've heard, and it was to do with just you know, like who are we around? You know, like if we're around the same people as us, sort of thing, like we're always going to be stuck in that same sort of position and so on. So and also it's very hard to find a bunch of people like that, as in you might find one person but you might not find a circle of people, or you might find two people but they're not available for you, etc. But this is why you have to go out and live. You need to travel, you need to mix with people that you've never seen before, speak to people in different languages, even if you can only say 2 or 3 words, because sometimes it's good when you don't speak the same language as the person in front of you, because you find another way to communicate. And sometimes that's even more powerful. I mean, I've been in a few situations where I've ended up doing like sign language, you know. I don't know it, but like we tried and we managed to have a conversation, and sometimes it's really moving, because when you reflect you think, oh my god, I didn't even know how to speak, yet we knew completely what we were talking about. We shared, you know, an event or something together, and that's really good. And I think that, again, it goes back to experiences. Put yourself out there. Put yourself out there and try things. Don't waste an opportunity by thinking, oh, I can't do it. You can do it. Try it. Just give it a shot. What's the worst that can happen? It doesn't, you know, it didn't work out. And if it didn't work out, that's it. You move on and try something else. True. I agree with that. Weird question. Okay. What's your, like, what do you think about language? I know it's a super broad question. But when you think about language in itself as a concept, like what do you think about it?
For me, I think I've not really thought about it, but the first thing that comes to me is it's a form of art. And the reason why I say that is because every language is different. Some of the languages are not written, they're just spoken, they're like dialects. Some are really aggressive, some are super polite, some are posh, you know, some are like very slang-like. So it's like looking at art, isn't it? When you look at pictures, they all vary, they have different things, but then the beautiful thing about it is it connects you with every other human, you know, speaking these languages, and your language and my language might be completely different, but I'm sure if you use a certain tone, we'll understand what we're saying with each other. So it's art, right? Yeah.
But you know what's funny as well, like in certain languages, like shouting is not even like a bad thing. It's like just
raise your voice.
It's not even a bad thing.
And again, let's see, the Greek, they are so loud. They're so loud, but they actually look happy when they're loud. And then you look at it and you'll be like, shout how much you want, it's fine, because you guys look really good, you know, you're not looking like you're aggressive or anything. And then there's some people like maybe the Koreans, they're very, very polite, very soft, and when they giggle, it's really like soft, but you can see the happiness in theirs. It's just variation, right?
Yeah, I really liked how you described that.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. I think it's beautiful, really. I mean, how would you depict language in art? A painted form, just a whole load of colors, maybe? Just thinking that, I don't know, but
that's an interesting question, actually.
Just lots of splodges of paint.
But it's just mad. Like I think obviously I think language is like limited to a certain extent, right?
Yeah.
Because obviously language doesn't really emit energy, you know, the person's giving out, or it doesn't. Obviously, body language is separate to that and stuff.
Absolutely.
So obviously it's limited, but at the same time, it's a gift, right? It's like,
it is.
It's such a wonderful thing that it just helps us to communicate on a certain level, you know?
Yeah, it does. And then it just depends.
And then it complements, like language would complement body language and vice versa. Body language would
your tone, your expression.
It's wonderful.
It's so good. It's really beautiful. I mean, I'd never thought of it like that, but just having this chat about it makes you realize that, well, it's a gift.
Yeah, I'm grateful. Like, I'm grateful to even have it, you know? Like, sometimes we can take so many things for granted. This
is it, isn't it? We're used to the things that are there by default, you know, because obviously we were raised to speak a certain language, and then we might have learned a language, but we don't remember that that's what we did. We just know that we can do it.
Yeah.
And then you just think, well, go on, talk. But it's not that,
it's a daily thing. And I think it goes back to the thing of like something that's super regular and super common. Like I feel like for people, like they don't really appreciate it as much, you know?
Yeah, I think so. Again, once I was speaking to a good friend of mine, and we were talking about, do you, as a person, you know, spend, let's say, 5 minutes or 10 minutes at the end of every day, or at some point in the day, thinking about how your day went and what it meant for you? Do you do that? I mean, yeah, we've got busy lives, all of us have, but do you do that? Because I think it's really important to do that.
There's value in that.
There is, because I think that's the time when you understand whether you're happy or whether you're in pain. If you're in pain, you need to deal with it. If you're happy, you might want to share it. I don't know, but I think it's really important to just, you know, have that moment, however long it is, to just know what today meant. Then you know how to shape your next day, right? And maybe that's a step towards living your best life every day. I mean, that also happened in the pandemic. When I accomplished anything, I was like, I'm living my best life. This is good, you know. And it started feeling really, really good. So, I think it's important to do reflection.
Cool. Yeah. So, look, we got about 5 to 7 minutes.
Oh, wow.
We're coming to an end. So obviously we spoke about the elephant in the room. What were the two other things? We can touch on one of them quickly.
I was going to say conversation, but we've actually spoken a lot about conversation. And I was going to speak about mindset, because that's something I encountered in the pandemic as well. We were stuck, or I was stuck, you know, in a certain mindset. And then I knew that I needed to do something. So when you are stuck, what do? I mean, out there's so many different podcasts, films, books, talks, lectures, all of these things about how do you change your mindset, and it's really overwhelming. Some of the things are incredibly powerful, some is just a bunch of nonsense, you know, and there's a lot, and sometimes you don't know how to filter, you know, in that. But I was thinking, you know, when I was going through this time, I thought, how do I deal with switching my mindset? And it just came to like, for me, it came to like 3 basic steps. And the basic steps was to understand that I had an issue, you know, and I was in a space that was probably negative and I needed to do something about it.
So just recognition.
Yeah, just recognition. I mean, sometimes we don't even recognize, we don't even allow ourselves to say, I'm in a bad spot, because I think some people think that that's a weakness, but the weakness can become a strength by just saying, I'm not in a good spot, you know, I need to do something about it. So that's the first thing I'd say. And then the second thing would be going on to really look around you and see what's happy, you know, what's positive. Give yourself gratitude, give somebody else gratitude, you know, express positive, happy emotions. And I think when you do that, after maybe days or some weeks, you recognize like a pattern in your thought process, and you realize where the negative spaces actually are in your thought process, and then you might see why you weren't able to switch your mindset, you know. And then I think the third thing would be to actually have the conversation with yourself. And when I say that, I think it means where you say, right, okay, I said I couldn't do it. That was negative, but why can't I do it? Of course I can do it. You know, I've got this positive person in my life, I've got this positive emotion, I've got this positive thing for me, so I can do it. So it's speaking to yourself. And once I was sharing this same conversation with somebody else, and they were like, yeah, but how do you have a conversation with yourself? And then I went back to something that I learned in drama. And what it was is you'd face yourself in the mirror and you speak to yourself. And that's super awkward for a lot of people. They don't find that comfortable, and I can understand that. But if you start treating yourself like a third person, you know, so you have this third person, and you can treat your reflection as a third person, and maybe give some compassion to this third person. Then you can almost pep talk them. Pep talk them to the extent where that reflection actually says back to you, of course I can change my mindset. It literally comes down to flicking the switch, you know. Yep, that's what I can do. So I think one of the ways of switching your mindset would be to have a conversation with yourself as a third person, and I think it works.
I love that.
Yeah, it's good.
I love that. I remember I was reading David Goggins' book, and he was talking about that. He was talking about just he would just go to the mirror every single morning and just for like I think 90 days in a row or something, he just talk to himself, you know. Yeah, and
why not? Why not? I mean, we have all of these thoughts trapped in our mind, and sometimes unless you've said it out loud, it doesn't materialize, or if you not said it out loud.
It's about writing it down or saying it out loud. That makes a difference.
Exactly, and then that goes back to conversation. If you say it out loud with somebody you trust, that's when you realize, oh no, hang on, I can do that, or maybe I shouldn't, or maybe I should do this, or whatever it is. But thoughts being trapped in just your mind, it's not good for you, you know, and it stops you from switching your mindset if you need to switch your mindset. Yeah,
true, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So is there anything you'd like to promote, by the way, before we ask you the last question?
Well, there's an exhibition that's happening in the month of October now. Yeah. It's with it's actually a short film that I was in, and the exhibition is in, I don't even remember the name, the Lighthouse Gallery. It's near Canary Wharf. So if you guys want to go down, then you can see the exhibition from 7. If you
put your Instagram in the description, actually, would it be on there?
So my
the exhibition,
that's that. And then I've got a theatre production coming up in November, and there's lots of like small bits and bobs that are happening. So maybe the best way to do this is just follow me on Instagram if you like. Which would be at Sadiqa. That's SADIQA.E.
Cool. And we'll put it in descriptions as well. So it'll be there. And the final question that we check out with all the time: if you had 8 billion people listening to you say one thing, what would you tell them?
Be happy. That's it.
Do you want to expand on that, or just leave it as that?
No, I think be happy. I think if you listen to the conversation that you and I have had about liberation, I think be happy is probably just the title. Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, it's good.
I love it. Cool.
Great.
Thank you for coming.
Great speaking with you as well. Yeah. Likewise. Thank you.